How's it going, everyone? We've got a bunch of PlayStation news and notes to go over. Actually, quite major news, so we'll talk about that. Shinobi602 noted that 2025 is gonna have some major titles from major first-party teams. We'll talk about that. And Phil Spencer has noted a little bit more as far as their titles coming to other platforms. I think this is something you're gonna see more and more of. We'll talk that in a little bit. But Shinobi602 noted on the Reset Era board that there will be major first-party titles coming from major first-party teams in 2025. Now, I don't think this is too surprising. Bear in mind that Death Stranding 2 is not a first-party game, so this would be titles from your Guerrilla Games, Insomniacs, Naughty Dogs of the world, studios of that level. And you know what? The fact is, it is mid-2024, and we still don't know about any of those games. Good. Like, I prefer that. At the earliest, if they did want to do a showcase instead of that state of play that they just did and announce a couple of those games for 2025 at this most recent event, or, you know, if they rebranded the state of play into a showcase and announced, let's say, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima or Naughty Dog's next title, fine. But, like, this is around the time where I would like to see the table be set for 2025. Maybe right now you can announce some early 2026 games, but really, I want to step away from the days of announcing Wolverine 5 years before it's coming out, 7 years before it's coming out, whatever the case may be. I just feel like that's nonsense, and at this point, like, we don't need to do that. You don't need to sell more PlayStation 5s. I understand back in 2021 where you can make an argument, hey, people are still getting excited for the PS5. You want to get that slate of games lined out, especially when they were doing a lot of cross-gen games like God of War and Horizon Forbidden West for cross-gen. You wanted a slate of true next-gen titles. I get it announcing Wolverine that early on, but really, I do want to step away from stuff like that. Announcing KOTOR Remake, like, that's just absolute nonsense at this point, but I think 2025 can be a great bounce back year, and I get it that some of you guys think I'm so harsh on PlayStation, on Sony. That is because my expectations for them are so high. Some of you guys always want to compare them to Microsoft. Guys, Microsoft is in the dirt. Microsoft is in the ground, although I thought their presentation, their showcase was actually fantastic. That just happened. We'll see when those games come out, and Fable, yikes on that one. How has that game been revealed for 4 years or 5 years or whatever it's been, and we still don't have gameplay of it, real gameplay? That's a problem. But for the most part, the fact that we're getting a Gears of War that's a prequel that brings back beloved characters, and that's when you do a CG trailer, I am totally cool with doing a CG trailer for a IP with lineage and history to it. Not Concord, not fair game, not to go on a tangent. Gears of War, fine. Do a CG trailer for that because people know Gears of War. People have affinity towards Gears of War. People have affinity towards those characters. Nobody wants a Concord Burger trailer. Nobody wants a fair game nonsense trailer. If you debut a new IP, you need to show gameplay, much like what that Expedition 33, beautiful. Announcement and reveal of that game, beautiful. That game needs to be a case study, and I'll do a future video on that talking about that, but nevertheless, circling back, I imagine that the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima is going to be out next year. I imagine that Insomniac is going to put out something, probably a Miles Morales level game. You know, we're talking about that Marvel's Venom title that got leaked, so that would be a good 1-2 punch, and, you know, there probably will be other games that are surprises. Look, I'm super excited for Lego Horizons, which Guerrilla does have a hand in, and I think that game's gonna be awesome, but again, to the caliber of what people expect out of Sony, we're not getting anything from first party this year. We're just not. Although, I will also say Astrobot looks awesome. There's some games here and there, but imagine how the reception for Sony's latter portion of the year would change if the funding that went towards Concord went towards something like, I don't know, a totally different game that would be right up the alley of the PlayStation audience, like a new Sly Cooper. I know they're totally different games, but they could have allocated funding for a new Sly Cooper, and it's just the reception of PlayStation's second half, and the reception of that state of play, honestly, would be totally different. Concord was just such a big stinker that it's, you know, it's gonna be a colossal failure, I think. I don't know, maybe I'll be wrong, but 2024 is a bit of a wash. They got some great work with third-party exclusives and Helldivers 2. Those are great, but from first party, those big budget single player titles, you're not getting any of that. And I look back at a 2020 when you had Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, even though I dislike that game, Demon's Souls Remake, although Bluepoint wasn't owned by Sony at that point, so you can slash that off, but Spider-Man Miles Morales as well. Think about all those games, and then that year you had Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. I know this year you had Rebirth, but if you're gonna include Rebirth in this year's calendar, look at 2020. You had the FF7 remakes of the world, and then you had the big first-party titles coming out as well. 2018, you had like the release of Spider-Man and God of War in the same year. That's at the level that I want to see. 2022, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok. Those are the years that I feel like we should be seeing out of Sony. In 2023, you had one game in Spider-Man 2. 2024, first party has nothing. So that's a little bit of a bummer, and I mean first party in the sense of nothing from the level that Sony is known for. Although, like, Astrobot might be like one of those games that I might honestly put that into major first party release, because that game looks awesome. It's just not aligned with big budget single player game that Sony's usually known for, but I do think that game looks tremendous. But 2025, I do hope, is a big bounce back year when you do have a major exclusive like a Death Stranding 2 coming out, and then you can also put out games like, hopefully, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Hopefully, I don't know if Naughty Dog's gonna release a game next year. Hopefully they do, but, you know, Naughty Dog's been kinda lame over the last couple of years, so I have no high hopes out of them for the time being, but hopefully they'll get something out next year. But I'm sure next year is gonna be a big bounce back. After 2023 and 2024 were fairly lackluster in comparison to what we got out of Sony in the past. That's what I'm saying, guys. Put down the pitchforks, put down the pitchforks. I don't know how you can compare a 2024 to a 2022 and be like they're at the same level. They're just not from a first-party standpoint, but, you know, hopefully 25 will be much better, and I do hope it is. Moving on from that, one of the reasons they don't even have to care about having a solid first-party lineup is because they, at this point, have beaten Microsoft. They have no competition in the console space, and they're just competing with themselves. Phil Spencer noted, "You are going to see more of our games on our platforms, and we see that as a benefit to the franchise that we're building." I will say, I think it's absolutely hilarious that LEGO Horizons is not on Xbox. Like, Xbox is rolling out, at this point, their smaller scale games, the Hi-Fis, the Peniments, the Sea of Thieves, although Sea of Thieves is kind of major, and Grounded onto PlayStation, but PlayStation won't even give them a bone with LEGO Horizons. They're releasing LEGO Horizons on Nintendo Switch, but not on Xbox. Kind of humorous how much Microsoft is kind of getting the short end of the stick, but they're releasing their games on PlayStation ultimately for their benefit. Obviously, Doom: The Dark Ages looks tremendous, gonna be out on PlayStation 5. I think it's gonna be a while before you see the major franchises on Xbox, or on PlayStation, the major Xbox franchises on PlayStation, and I do think for the immediate future, if you look at a game like Halo or Gears, I think it'll be a very big delayed release, much like PlayStation does with PC. You're not gonna see Spider-Man 2 day one on PC with PlayStation 5. It'll be out in 2025. I could see Microsoft doing something like that for their from their vantage point for PlayStation. You look at something that they're releasing like Indiana Jones, a year later maybe it'll come to PlayStation. Starfield, a year later, a year and a half later, coming to PlayStation. I think stuff like that can be realistic in the immediate future. Long term, let's say a decade from now, I really do believe that Xbox games are just going to be on every platform that they can release it on. I think they're going to go beyond the console space. I think Xbox as a console is a little bit washed. I think Game Pass is still a tremendous service, but I think Xbox is a little bit washed at this point. But things can change fairly quickly. It's just that at this stage, look at if Microsoft would have had any couple of years to bounce back, they would have had 2023 and 2024 where PlayStation was a little bit lackluster with their output. But what has Microsoft put out? Hellblade 2, Hi-Fi, look, those games are good, but you're not talking about a Gears of War E-Day. If that came out last year or this year, that would be a huge addition and get people excited for Xbox as a console, but that's just not the case, and I really do think that small window that they had, where PlayStation had a lackluster 2023, they had a lackluster 2024, boy, that's gone in 2025. I think they're gonna have a phenomenal 2025, all things considered. And even this year, again, they had third-party exclusives like Stellar Blade, Ronin, and so on and so forth, and they'll have Astrobot. They still had a fairly decent year if you compare them to, let's say, Microsoft's bad years, like you guys want to do sometimes, but I'm talking about PlayStation at their peak. With my high expectations for PlayStation, 2024 is lackluster. I don't know any other way how you can slice it, but yeah, they're gonna be just fine, and PS5's selling incredibly well. They've got money coming into from the PC market, although I'm not a big fan of this PlayStation account linking. You're kind of limiting Steam Deck players from playing your games now as well. Obviously, there are workarounds, but, you know, that's a little bit unfortunate. But PlayStation as a brand is going to be fine, and I think if 2025 they could roll out a Ghost of Tsushima 2, they're going to have Death Stranding 2 as another major third-party exclusive, and then you roll out one more game on top of that from first party, baby, we're good. That's all you need. 2 major games, that's all I'm asking for in terms of the regular PlayStation style, and we're good as far as that's concerned. But this year, from the regular PlayStation style of games, your Last of Us's, your Ghost of Tsushima, your Horizons, you're looking at 0. God of War, you're looking at 0. So take that for what you will. But that is going to do it for me. Again, looks like PlayStation is going to bounce back with a big 2025, and Phil Spencer noted you're going to see more titles on other platforms, PlayStation included, after the initial 4 games. I'm telling you guys, more games are going to be rolling out. I could see Hellblade 2 rolling out. Otherwise, Hellblade 2 might go the way of, like, Tango, because I can't imagine that game did fairly well at $50 outside of just being a game, an attractive option for Game Pass users. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.